And welcome back, ladies, gentlemen, Gungans, droids, candy-booty-looking coneheads. Let me tell you, it's great to be in the M-Pod today. People, wake up, wake up. You're watching Arnold Holiday News, the only news you ever need because you have no other choice. And people, I know it's been snoozy in Galaxy Heroes of Passing, but it's time to wake up because Galaxy of Heroes, the developers, are having a little bit of soul searching regarding the Phantom Menace Battle for Naboo raid. We got two very positive updates in regards to this raid, and hopefully more is to come because, well, as we've discussed quite at length, there's some good things about this raid, but there's also kind of some bad things that detract from the good things. So people, let's get on over here and chit chat what's cooking in the kitchen for all you good lookings. Gary, bring them on over. So first things first, in regards to this raid, we've talked great lengths about it. We're on my free-to-play account right now. My main account, you know, I'm doing fine. I have pretty much 4 auto teams. But for the rest of the galaxy that's not as privileged as my main account, you might be something like this, where unfortunately my free-to-play guild, we have taken a massive plummet in rewards, where we used to be up in here with the Ender raid, and we ended up getting a massive reduction in rewards when it came to Naboo because, well, first off, as we're going to discuss, the early tiers are kind of difficult. Number two, you know, the characters haven't been too accessible. Granted, they're making them more accessible. A little bit of update before we head on over to these posts that Galaxy Heroes has thrown out there. My free-to-play account, you got to admit, they are making the characters at least a little bit more accessible by throwing Padawan, Obi-Wan, and Cantina. I already got him at Gear 12. Master Qui-Gon, already making my way over to 7 stars. Almost makes me feel like a fool for wailing a couple months ago, and I'm gonna have a relic of Padawan Obi-Wan in the next week or so here. And the staff is also Cantina Farble, so they're trying to make them a little bit more accessible, and I would recommend, especially if you're getting Queen Amidala, get the Master Qui-Gon, Padawan Obi-Wan up and running. But anyways, let's go hop on over, and just to show you guys, this isn't just my sentiment in regards to all this. We see a lot of you folks out there share a similar sentiment and experience where your guild is doing likely worse than the previous raid that we've had, and a lot of people just aren't doing it. They're just sticking in older raids. Well, it looks like Capital Games, they're saying something. They're saying something out there. First thing I want to show is this right here. As we said, one of the biggest criticisms of this raid is, well, the early tiers are kind of difficult. You gotta admit, despite maybe Endor being a little bit snoozy, you know, all that stuff at this point, the early tiers were pretty accessible, pretty easy to do, among a couple of things. Like the requirements are also a bit easier to obtain because a lot of people had Rebel, Ewoks, Empire. Anyways, we've beaten these points down to death in our review of the Boo raid. Well, here's what the developers have said. They kind of agree with us. We've been sharing this feedback with them. Hello, Holotable Heroes. The team has seen reports of players having difficulty with the lower tiers in the Battle for Naboo raid and will investigate. Again, the reason why I think we're seeing this is because maybe they're not seeing the engagement that they were hoping to see in this brand new raid. And I don't blame them, and I don't blame you guys for maybe just skipping out on this because, especially like my free-to-play count, I feel like, honestly, like I have Gungans at like low purple gear-ish, sort of. I can't even do the first tier. Like, you should be able to do a good chunk of the first tier, regardless of how, I mean, of course, if you're a level 1 gear one, maybe not much, but if you're like low purple gear, you should make some meaningful progress. Right now, it seems like it's impossible, even for pre-Kyrotech Gungans, to really do serious work, unless maybe throw on the Omicron here. So good news, hopefully they're gonna make that a little bit easier, but what I'm very happy about, and we got some graphics towards the end, so stick around if you're just the kind of supplement what we're talking about, maybe further better your raid score. We're going to show some graphics towards the end. B2 Battle Droid lead. They aren't doing anything to it. They're leaving it as is. Good. Wow. Logic minds solved the problem at hand. Hello, Holotable Heroes. This is a follow-up for our initial investigation on B2 potentially overperforming as the leader in Battle for Naboo. I'll go ahead and I'll explain what's going on. Some people apparently didn't get the memo on this. This has been like a thing since day one, but we'll get it back on your tactile scanners in case you've been chilling in a cave on Tatooine here. But moving on, after our investigations, we are currently fine with the data we are seeing and won't make any adjustments. With that being said, the team will continue to monitor B2's performance. Two things here. Number one, you don't really have much goodwill to play at this raid. Number two, this was one of the most accessible teams, and especially accessible full auto teams that we had. And number 3, I suspect there is an upside to Capital Games from their perspectives, because people like myself, I kind of invested a little bit more in my Maul, in my Sidious, to get a full auto Relic 8 run. So they're probably seeing that people are investing in these guys. It would have been idiotic, because again, it's not a bug. We're working within the confines of the rule sets that they themselves made. Gary, bring them on over real quick. Let me show them what we're talking here. So I'm gonna just go ahead and show you quickly in game what's going on. Some people were not aware of this. Well, you better be aware now. We've talked this several times. It's time to get on your radar, because this is one of the most important teams that you could possibly put together. So the team, I unfortunately don't have it up and running on my free-to-play account here, but the team, let's see if I can try to put the budget version together. So the team was basically B2 Super Battle Droid in the lead, which I don't have. Magna Guard was also in there. I can't put the team together. Gary, let's just show them over here. Bring them over to the video. In case you have been maybe in a cave in Tatooine, I'm gonna leave a link in the top right-hand corner. This is one of the most comprehensive guides that we have for this raid. There's been 1 or 2 slight changes that have happened since then that I'll get you guys up to date. But if you go in here, a bunch of timestamps I left in this video, but here, if you fast forward to the B2 lead, which again, there's a timestamp, boom, there's your team right there. B2, Stap, Magna Guard, Maul, and Sidious. And really, all that's going on is a little crazy. Don't worry, he doesn't have a lead, but inside of this raid, he kind of does. So, Gary, I need to get into the game. You see, I got to deal with people. It's not that easy having Gary. My life gets a lot more complicated. Jeez. Anyways, if you hop on over to the deets over here, and then you go to the let's see, overview that we have right here, and you scroll down to the Separatist. This is why B2 lead is a thing, and it works well. Again, it's not a glitch, it's not a hack, it's not unintended. It's literally we figured out a cool way to solve their puzzle that they created for us. Darth Sidious leader ability is active. Okay, we can skip all that. That's not important. You just don't keep Sidious in the lead, basically. But if you move forward down the list here, it gets a little bit interesting right here. Whenever a Sith ally inflicts a debuff, they deal 5% max health damage you can't be evaded. And the most important part, whenever a Separatist ally in the leader slot uses a special ability, all Sith allies are called to assist. Let me read that one more time. Whenever a Separatist ally in the leader slot uses a special ability, all Sith allies are called to assist. And B2, what's going on at B2? B2 unique ability gives him tons and tons and tons of turn meter, which means him in the leader slot, he's taking more turns, which as a result, he's causing Maul as well as Sidious to assist a crap ton. And more importantly, especially if you're doing the higher tiers inside of this raid, once you bump it up, you have to be at least this level if you want to get the maximum effect. This still works at the lower tiers, but when you get to the highest tier, or second highest tier, it used to be the highest tier, you can see right here, there's an additional clause for the Separatist. Whenever the Separatist in the leader slot uses a special ability, which B2 is going to take a crap ton of turns, and they're going to take a crud ton of special abilities because they reduce their cooldowns, get tons of turn meter, you decrease the enrage timer by 1%. And again, if you check out my comprehensive guide that I've made on this here, we're going to just fast forward to the gameplay. B2 Super Battle Droid takes tons and tons and tons of turns, and this is one of my consistent full auto teams that I use, especially if you are going to be utilizing the Stap, which gets provoked. They're going to counterattack a lot, which in turn gives B2 lots of turn meter. And I think somewhere towards the beginning here, you will see that, the enrage timer goes down quite a lot. So notice this enrage timer that's right behind me over here. Look at it. So right now, you can see that it's kind of going up and down, up and down. Gary, rewind the gameplay. So look at that. If you watch, you can see the percentages are going up and down. See, look, we're in the 20s, then we're in the 30s, then we're back in the 20s. That's because B2 Super Battle Droid is taking a ton of turns and reducing the cooldowns. Again, feel free to check that out. There's a lot more depth that I provide inside that video that'll go over it more, but it was one of the more accessible teams, especially when the rest are Gungans, Queen Amidala, things that people might not have built up. People aren't really excited to build up Luminar unless you bought the Lightspeed bundle, which not a lot of people did, and they, for some reason, still aren't offering that Luminar Lightspeed bundle for whatever reason here. But nonetheless, I'm going to provide you a couple more infographics to help better yourselves when it comes to this raid. Number one, in case you want to do that B2 Super Battle Droid lead thing, again, I explained the video, but here, maybe you don't want to hear my ugly mug talk. That's basically your graphic right there that my guild's been using. Feel free to replicate it. I haven't done really any crazy remods except for Maul and Sidious. And the nice thing about this raid, unlike the previous raid, I haven't really need to do any serious remodding. Remod, serious remod, Maul, we're good to go at that point. But there's one more other thing I want to put on your radar. It's sort of like this, but it's less consistent. It's great that they're keeping B2 lead in place. It's one of the superior teams. It's full auto for me, max score. But there's been one major development that I think said happened since my comprehensive video, and that is this right here, a 3-man Maul team. However, even it says itself, I tried it myself, it is very RNG dependent. It's not like the B2 lead where you hit auto, you walk away, you're gonna get a good score. As it says right here, this run is RNG dependent. Using Stap over Newt is a slightly better fight, but it may be easier to expect a less than max score. So that's your little modding graphic right there. If you want to make this work, use Darth Maul lead, Sidious, and then you throw Newt or Stap in there. It can get a solid run, but it's a little bit more complicated. It's not that it doesn't work, but in a raid that already takes a long time to do you really want to do multiple attempts again to try to get in there and get a solid score? Maybe not. Maybe you do. Maybe you're in a situation where you don't have a choice. You're not going to build up B2, but hopefully you have B2 at least at some relic level. Again, keep in mind the B2 trick has the maximum effect at relic 8, but it works at relic 7, 5s, and all that from below that. So it's a lot easier because, again, when you're at relic 8, you can reduce the enrage timer on it. So, Gary, one more time for these people in case they want to check out these graphics, and we have videos covering pretty much 80% of the teams, and we have this right here, and then this right here is one of the newer developments that a person in the community recorded some gameplay, and it's made its way around town out there. I tried it out a while ago on stream. Again, it works, but I don't want to spend more time than I need on this raid trying to get attempts over and over and over again until we get the perfect RNG. So people, you know what? Does that fix all the problems of this raid? No, it doesn't. But it's a step in the right direction. B2 is one of the most concerning things that I had in mind, because I was one of the go-to teams for people. They're looking at the lower tiers, hopefully making it a bit easier. Great putting it out there. More importantly, it's good that they're having some communication about this. Usually it's CG's way to zip it and deal with it, basically. On our side, that it is. But hopefully they make more meaningful improvements in the future. But I don't think they're going to probably do much more beyond keeping B2, making the early tiers more accessible. But of course, you know, there's still a flavor that's missing that we had in the old raids, that the newer raids are kind of missing out there. But, you know, maybe one day they'll fix it. We've talked about it at great lengths. But you know what? Speaking of great lengths, I got to go to great lengths yet again to thank you guys for hanging out with me. And until we meet again, my friends, always remember, Gary, what do we like to say? I don't know. No one cares what you think. It's great to be in the Empire. Ooh, baby. Say it with me. Say it. Say it. Today, Gary, we're ready. We're signing out.